Hello, and welcome to the second video of my Scratch platformer tutorial. And before we start, I'm gonna have another talking thing for like 30 seconds, so you can wait, but if you can't, there's a time on screen. Hopefully. So, you may have noticed that there's no comments anymore, and that's because since Scratch is like kind of a kid's coding language, I considered it like some people would, probably a lot of people would say that it's kids content. I might change it, I don't know. But for now, because that doesn't let you have comments. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I might change it back sometime. But for now, I'm gonna have a Google form in the description that you can fill out if you want to put a comment, but don't just like have spam comments, please, because that's annoying. But anyways, so in the last episode, I think I forgot to save it, so that's kind of very annoying. It's not in here, so what I'm gonna do is real quick, I'm just gonna follow the tutorial. Okay, well, I'm just gonna look at the tutorial to reassemble all of the codes, because I already know how to make it, but I just want to make sure that I do everything in the same way, so that it's not like, suddenly different code. So, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I have everything again. I think I have the player, hitbox. Oh, I need to rename them, but so I just re-added everything, except of course the sprites are slightly different, but that's fine. But I have everything else implemented in the game again. Fancy words. Anyways, so next I'm gonna have to, there's like other things you might want to add, like for example if you want a death zone or other things. So I'm gonna add the death zone, and just to make it simple, everything in this is gonna be red. So I'm just gonna start out by making what I want it to be. I'm also going to say to go to back layer, which is so that it goes behind the black stuff, which makes it simple to build like things coming out of the ground. So I have now added some red areas, just a few, but right now they just kind of exist. They're like part of the background. Yay. So now this is really the simplest code, like one of the simplest parts of creating a platformer game, which is just if touching death zone, go back to wherever your respawn point is. Now, of course, the one problem is, as you can see, if I jump into this, I'm still jumping, and if you use momentum, which I might show later, you will keep any momentum you have. So as you can see, I fall, but then I fall differently each time, which is also really simple to fix. Just say set y speed to 0, and now it's always the same. So that was really simple, but now we might want multiple levels. Now to start, I'm probably gonna, let's say we want the player to always start in this corner. It's really simple. I'll just say -172 y -10. There we go, and then I'm just gonna also do that here. So now this is our spawn point, which, since most of the levels of, like, most platformer games tend to go left to right, so this is like it makes sense, okay? So I'm just gonna update this so that you can actually get all the way across the ground, and then I'll continue. So I now have a level with some very, very realistic lava just kind of floating around. And now we have this left to right thing. Now there's a few different ways you can have winning. you can either make it be a third sprite, or you could just say the edge. Either way is fine, but if you do it with the edge, you need to make sure there's no ways to get into the walls, and you also need to have walls on all the edges and roof and stuff. So if you want a more open seeming game, you might want to just have a if touching a specific sprite. So I'm just going to call this end zone. I'm going to bring it to 0, 0 by just doing this. And then I'm going to make it green because that's like green. And I'm also going to just copy in the code from here, and I can just drag that in. So now I can come over and go to the end zone, and nothing will happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go touching end zone. It's going to go back to it's going to do the same thing, but it's also going to have to set those to the next level. So I'm going to go into their sprites. And if you haven't done this already, I don't know if I said to do this in the original video, but I'm just going to make these all be labeled as 1s. And I'm also, there's a few different ways you can do this. You can do it without needing an extra variable, but I'm going to use a level variable, because this is one really simple way. So at the start, I'm just going to say set level to 1, unless you start on level 0 or something, because that's, you might decide to do that if you have like a tutorial level. And then change level by 1 is here. And then when flag clicked forever, make sure to choose the costume one, not the backdrop. And then say, get the variable for level and put that in. So then if I make a second level, 2, I don't know, like do something slightly different here. I'll just like make it so that you have to like climb up, and then so it's pretty simple. This one I'll just make the same, and then the end zone. So now if I just bring the player over to the end zone, we have this next level, and I'll just make the end zone be like that. There we go. Now we have everything. Although I need to also, I'm just going to drag this into these two, so that these also switch costume to level all the time. So now once you reach the goal, it's automatically on the next level. And you can just do that with however many levels you want. Now the one thing is it will just keep looping around, so 3 it'll automatically go to 1, and then 4 go to 2. I'm not really sure why. So to end off this episode, I'm gonna show one other thing. So also, just before I do this, if you're not ever gonna add graphics, if it's just gonna be a very generic, just one color for the ground, one color for deaths, one color for end, you can do if touching a specific color, which if you don't know how that works, you just drag it in and then you click this, and then you can choose whatever color on the screen. So if you, that will allow you to do less sprites, but also don't use the backdrop. I used to use that, but sometimes it'll like glitch out and not go to certain sprites and backdrops, but I have no idea why that is like that. But anyways, to start off, I'm gonna make a new sprite, which I'm gonna call it Jump Zone, because I'll explain this in a minute. So I'm actually going to make the first sprite invisible because I don't want this in the first level, but if we go to the second level, I'm just going to make it so that you have to jump. So if you're wondering what that means, what this area will do is pretty much it will just force the player to jump when you're in the area. So what I'm going to do is I'll make this look kind of gray, I guess. I don't know. So I'll just like I'll just put it here, just like a little pad kind of thing to jump pad. Yeah. So if you jump onto that, it'll give you a big boost, which I'm gonna make it so that you need. So I'm just gonna call this Jump Zone. Done. And then for the player, this is pretty simple. You just add another one of these little things, but this time I'm going to do is save touching jump zone. I'm going to say just bounce you really high. Set Y speed to like 15. So now that was sad. But if I go to this part in the level, it'll give you a big jump, which, to be fair, isn't actually big enough, but like, you know, now it should be. But this can be used to give big jumps, and then like, of course, so you can pretty much do this with whatever action you want. If you want something that doesn't let you jump, that'll actually be a little more complicated because you have to do an if not statement in the jumping thing. But yeah, so there's a lot of experimentation, not changes there's a lot of things you can do with this. And so this is the basics that I'm going to have, but then I'm going to show some other ways to branch off. I'll probably show how to make a scrolling platformer in the next episode. The one problem with that is that I'm going to restart from scratch because the way I'm going to do it probably changes a lot of the stuff. So yay! But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to end this video now, so goodbye.